On a freezing morning, sub-zero temperatures covered Seoul with a thick blanket of ice. The snow that had fallen since the night before created a beautiful scene, but it also brought a great challenge to anyone who had to get out of the house. In the midst of this hostile weather, Kim Taehyung, one of the members of the global group BTS, had the last day of his intensive training series. That day, in addition to being an important moment for his career, was also a clear proof of the toughness and dedication of an artist who has become known to the world. For Taehyung, this exercise is not just a routine. This was the final stage of a long preparation for a huge project that he had prepared with all his heart. Although he already has many years of experience on stage, each new project is a challenge for him. It involves not only physical, but also mental and emotional. Moreover, this time he faced extreme weather, an additional test that tested his limits as an individual and an artist. The day begins with an alarm that breaks the silence in Taehyung's apartment. Although he was used to waking up early, the cold temperature made him a little reluctant to move from the warmth of his blanket. However, as always, he strengthened himself. Quickly, he prepared and put on warm clothes and layers to protect his body from the cold winter wind. This weather is really unfriendly, he thought as he glanced at the digital thermometer in the kitchen, which showed a temperature of -10 degrees Celsius. Before leaving, Taehyung took time to make a cup of warm tea, trying to warm his body and mind. He sat for a moment by the window, looking at the slowly falling snow. There is a calmness out there, but also a great challenge that awaits him. "Maybe it will be a hard day, but I have to go through it," she murmured with a slight smile. The journey to the training studio becomes an experience in itself. The roads were covered with heavy snow, and vehicles drove slowly to avoid accidents. Taehyung chose to stay focused, listening to music through his earphones. His favorite songs become soothing companions, giving vigor in the cold. Upon arrival at the studio, he was greeted by some of the staff who had come before. They all seemed to be wearing warm clothes and sharing smiles to encourage each other. Despite the cold weather, the atmosphere inside the studio was warmed by their spirit of hard work and togetherness. Taehyung spends a few minutes warming up. He knew very well that the cold weather could stiffen his muscles, and he did not want to get injured on the last day of training. With movements full of concentration, he stretches his body, making sure each piece is ready for the challenge of the day. The training that day was intense. Taehyung and his team focus on every detail of the choreography. Although this was the last session, none of them considered it a trifle. Precisely, this last exercise is an opportunity to perfect everything they've been working on for weeks. "This part should be more in tune," Taehyung tells his team, pointing to one of the choreographed movements. He is known as a perfectionist, someone who always tries to give the best in every appearance. It is this kind of dedication that has made him one of the most respected artists in the world. Not only by fans, but also by his colleagues. In the middle of rehearsals, sweat began to pour from his face, even though the temperature inside the studio was not so warm. He doesn't care. For him, hard work is part of the journey to perfection. "Despite the cold, I feel warm because we work together," he told his team with a smile. However, it cannot be denied that extreme weather presents its own challenges. Taehyung felt exhausted in the middle of training. His body began to give signs of fatigue from days of hard work and hostile temperatures. "I'm fine," he replied in a calm voice when one of the staff asked if he needed a break. However, he did not want to take risks. After completing one part of the choreography, he decided to take a break. Taehyung sat in the corner of the room, sipping mineral water while reflecting on the long journey he had taken. One of the things that made the rehearsal that day special was the togetherness felt by everyone in the studio. Taehyung is not only an artist, but also a caring colleague. In between workouts, he often finds time to joke with his team, creating a more relaxed and fun atmosphere. When one of the team members finds it difficult with a certain movement, Taehyung patiently gives directions. He focuses not only on himself, but also on the success of the whole team. "We will do it together." "Don't worry," he said, Giving a reassuring smile, those simple words brought a new spirit to his team. They feel that their hard work is not in vain, that every effort they make is part of something bigger. The day's training was finally completed by evening. Taehyung and his team are relieved, but also proud of what they have achieved. Although the cold weather was a big challenge, they managed to get through it together. Before leaving the studio, Taehyung took a moment to thank everyone who had worked so hard with him. He knows that success is never achieved alone. As he walked out of the studio, the cold air returned to greet him. This time, however, he felt stronger. There was a warmth within him that came from the hard work and togetherness he experienced throughout the day. For Taehyung, the day was not just his last training in the midst of extreme weather. It was a reminder of the importance of dedication, resilience, and togetherness. A lesson he will carry with him every step of the way, and under a darkening sky, Taehyung walks home with a smile on his face, ready to welcome whatever comes the next day. Upon arriving home, fatigue began to be felt in every inch of Taehyung's body. However, instead of resting immediately, he chose to sit in the living room, letting his mind ponder for a moment. With a glass of hot tea in hand, he looked at the constantly falling snow outside the window. The night was so quiet, only the occasional sound of a cold wind could be heard. Amid the silence, he began to reflect on the journey he had traveled, not only the intense training of the last weeks, but also the entire course of his career as an artist. From here, I can see how far I've come, he muttered softly. He recalled the early days when he was a young man with big dreams that might have seemed out of reach. In the past, he never imagined that he would stand on such a big stage, surrounded by millions of fans who love him unconditionally. However, behind all that, he knew that the success he achieved did not come easily. There was hard work, sacrifice, and countless sleepless nights he passed. That night, his reflections brought him back to the roots of everything he did, his love of art and music. For him, all difficulties and challenges, including hard days like today, are a price worth paying to achieve his dreams. Before going to bed, Taehyung picks up his phone and opens a social media app. He reads messages from his fans who always provide endless support. Their words, though brief, had a tremendous power to warm his heart. Taehyung, we always believed in you. You are our inspiration. Stay strong. Fighting, Taehyung. We're waiting for you. He smiled a little as he read the messages. Even though the weather outside is so cold, the love from his fans always makes his heart warm. He realized that he was never really alone on this journey. Out there are millions of people who support him, pray for him, and look forward to his work. With a heart filled with gratitude, he typed a simple message on his social media. Thank you for being a source of strength for me. I will continue to work hard to give my best. See you soon.